After last year's rather outstanding winter, there was a few changes happened over the off-season. First of all, we went through a peer review of our snow program, which engaged experts from 3 other Western Canadian cities. And the results of that peer review were presented to City Council along with our new snow policy, which was approved by City Council on September 27th. Now, the major changes for this year for the snow program that everyone's going to see, first and foremost, is the seasonal parking ban. Now, the seasonal parking ban is an event-based ban, and it applies only on the collector bus routes in the residential areas, because of course that was our biggest problem area last year. Last year we had circumstances where people were parking outside the windrows and narrowed the road down to a point where buses couldn't even get through. So this year we took a very proactive step in putting in this seasonal no parking ban. So as I said, it's event-based, which means that we declare the seasonal parking ban to be in effect when we need it. Normally that declaration, we're targeting to have that done about 1 in the afternoon, which of course gives a lot of notification time for people for it to be in effect for midnight that night. The bylaw actually states we need 8 hours notice, but we're going to give more wherever possible. Now, the seasonal parking ban will allow us to be more effective in plowing on those routes. As well, we can leave the seasonal parking ban in effect once we get enough snow built up on those routes that the windrows have narrowed the pavement to a point where it's not safe to allow parking on those routes anymore. Seasonal parking ban, if you're looking at how often it's going to happen, normally if you look at the long-term statistics, you're looking at 3 to 5 incidents per year where we'd have to use a seasonal no parking ban. And again, it's just on those collector bus routes. The other significant change for this year is how we're dealing with residentials. Now, what hasn't changed is the fact that we're going to a 5-centimeter snowpack. That remains the same in the policy. The difference, of course, is how we approach it. We're taking a more proactive, more aggressive approach to it. The policy now states that 48 hours after the end of the snowfall, we will start residentials. Now, that 48 hours is to give us time to do the arterial and collector system, which policy says we're done the plowing within 48 hours. Once we start the residentials after 48 hours, that must be completed in 5 working days. And again, the difference there, 5 continuous working days. In the past, when we got additional snowfalls, we pulled the equipment out of the residential back onto the arterial collector. That won't happen anymore. We have some additional equipment. We purchased 20 additional truck plow units, and we will be continuing with the residential till the cycle is completed. So again, a lot more aggressive. It's putting more emphasis on the residential roadways, putting a little bit more emphasis on how we maintain them, and again, a more aggressive approach. The idea being that we'll maintain a 5-centimeter snowpack or less. And a 5-centimeter snowpack, for those of us over 50, that's only about 2 inches. So that's not an awful lot if it does warm up and we do break through the snowpack. It should allow mobility on a year-round basis in the residential areas. Another big change with the policy this time around is, in the past, the snow policy's always dealt more with roads. They've always been focused on roads and how we're going to deal with roads. The one thing we heard loud and clear in the peer review is that a snow policy should deal more with the entire transportation network. That means all modes of transportation. So of course, the seasonal no parking ban helps us to provide a better level of service on the bus route, on the collector bus routes. But also in the policy, we now have a time period when we're required to have the platforms and the walking areas at transit facilities cleared. And that's 24 hours after the end of the snowfall. As well, there's more reference to the active modes. With the number of bike lanes that are now on city streets, we do mention them in the policy that they will be cleared to the level of service, equivalent to the level of service of that the roadway receives. So that means if a bike route is on a collector roadway, it will be plowed within 48 hours of the end of the snowfall. So again, the policy itself is far more inclusive of all the different modes of transportation.